What's up, y'all, and welcome to Successful Sunday. And this is the last Successful Sunday of 2024, which is kind of odd to even say, but it came down pretty quick. And we're entering 2025. So next week, when we have another Successful Sunday, we are going to be in a completely different year. And we're still going to be on the trajectory of our goals, our intentions, and kind of like what we're going to be talking today is how to put peace, progress, and purpose behind our 2025. So let's wait for no time. Let's get right into it because hopefully by now you have a little bit of a clear indication of what you want your 2025 to look like. I would hope so. Or you've created the vision board, you've written out your goals. Like everybody, here's the thing, like we could write our goals, we create the vision board, but if we ain't got no actual strategy behind it, we just kind of did a whole nice little fluff for no reason. Because the whole point of creating the goals, the intentions, the vision board is to now get to work and put the work behind it, create a strategy and put behind it. So today we're going to be talking about how to also keep peace, purpose, and progress in mind and create the life that we really want to like put forward into 2025. So let's not even wait. Let's just get right into it. Of course, you know me, I make notes on everything. So I got a couple points here. And I'm going to start off with how we need to start respecting our time more in 2025. And there's I believe her name was Maxine Waters, and she's a U.S. Congresswoman. And one thing she used to always say was "reclaim my time." I remember seeing that video; it became like a meme, like "reclaim my time." And what stuck out for me was how important that statement was. Reclaim my time. When we think about time, time is one of those currencies that we cannot get back, right? Like, however we choose to spend our time, once we've given it, that's a wrap. We can't get it back. So I want you to start really thinking about who, what, and what environments and energy do you want to be spending your time in and how you want to allocate it. Is because there's probably some parts of your life right now where there's some energy and some time where you don't even want to reduce it or just straight up eliminate it because it's not serving you. It could be toxic. It's not filling up your cup. It's constantly with quarrels, constantly, you know what I'm saying? The energy's so off every time you're in it. And I think that that's important to think about just because everybody else is doing it. Don't let anybody try to talk you out of spending your time in environments and around energy that just doesn't suit you. Because you already know the feeling. You know when something feels off. You know when something doesn't feel right. So why would you put yourself and spend your time in those spaces, in that environment, around that energy when you know every time you're around it just you feel off and you're trying to figure out an escape plan the minute you enter that energy. So it's important to start thinking about how you're going to take your time back. How are you going to manage and be intentional with your time moving forward and whom you spend your time with and what environment you're spending your time with. It was something I kind of looked really deep into 2024 was how and who do I want to spend my time with more. And what stuck with me was I wanted to start giving the gift of my time. So maybe you've heard this, maybe you've not. If you're new, I instead of giving gifts to those that are close to me, birthday gifts specifically, I said I'll have fun. Like we'll do an activity together, some like fun type of memorable activity. Because in my brain, I was just like, I do a lot of things. I wear a lot of hats, and sometimes I don't get to spend a lot of time with my family, with my friends, with my partner. It all depends, you know what I mean? Like, so my main thought process was how can I allocate the most expensive gift that I've ever received myself, which is time, and I can't gain it back. How can I give it to others? And that was one of the things that I did where I started to use their birthdays as a way to allocate activities and create memories. And this year I did it starting from like February onward. It was the greatest idea that I'm going to continue doing it into 2025. So instead of purchasing actual physical gifts for birthdays, for family members, partners, so on and so forth, friends as well, I just say like, what kind of activity can we do? I'll give you an idea how I do it. I usually write 2 activities on an index card. Let's see if I have any. I have a stack of them. Yeah, so I write 2 activities on the you may have seen it on social media. So I write 2 activities on 2 index cards. On the back of it, it would say A and B, and they have to pick between A and B, and whatever activity it is what we schedule, and we go out and we do it. I will say this with the younger kids, um they I give them a chance to pick one or the other. If there's one activity they really, really wanted to do and they're like, "Oh, man, I kinda wanted that." I'm usually like, "Okay, fine, whatever." Only reason why is because it was my first year doing it and I was trying to be very nice about it, and it worked out. I did a lot of great activities with them, and it was a ton. So I going back to what I said is be more cautious with whom you're spending your time with moving forward to 2025, and be intentional about it. Because when we think about just purpose alone, I think we think about the end game, like something that is okay, like this is my purpose. But if you take a step back, your purpose is just to exist. And you may have heard me say this multiple times, but if you think back to when you're a baby, there's not much you can do except wait for someone to take care of you, right? Obviously, as adults, we can't really fully do that. But I'm just saying, like, you were just existing as a child. And somewhere along the way, society has pumped it in our head that we can't just exist even as adults. And we're allowed to. You're absolutely allowed to exist because when you just simply exist, it pushes you towards your purpose because your purpose is usually the thing that makes you the most happy. You feel me? Like, even if it just means that you're serving someone, if it just means that you're being of service to people like myself, or if it means like you're walking in your truth, or I'm not sure what it is. It could be you naturally like to make people laugh, whatever. You got to figure it out on your own. But what I've learned personally is that our purpose is rooted in us just being our authentic selves, number one. Number two, and just figuring out who we are. The more that we figure out who we are, the more that we learn that we can walk in our truth, which is our purpose to just simply exist. So, reclaiming back your time, which is the first one I would very much put on the forefront at the top of your list. Reclaim your time. Who do you want to spend time with? Why? Like, what energy do you no longer want to be around? Be more intentional with how you're spending your time in 2025. Follow along with that is one of the greatest gifts you can ever give yourself. I mean, like, ever give yourself is no longer giving a fuck and doing you in the most biggest way possible. I'm gonna kind of paint a picture for you. Let's say this is a box right here, and you've been put into that box, and that lid's been put on. And you go on your life and you just live staying in that box because you've been just conditioned to think this is the only way you can live. But somewhere along the way, you just want to pull this lid off because you're like, there's got to be something else beyond what I know. There's got to be something else beyond what I've been taught. Maybe I can unlearn some things because some things are just not really sitting with me anymore. So now you're working towards getting the lid off. And then once you work towards getting the lid off, now you're pushing down each wall of the box. And now you feel even more free because you're no longer giving a fuck about how other people around you are perceiving you, how they've been conditioned to make you think. You're not just focused on how you want to live and how you want to think. And part of it is trial and error. You're gonna figure some shit is not for you, and you're gonna figure out some shit is definitely for you. And that's cool. That's part of life. Is experience it. Again, going back to number one, when I was saying like be purposeful with your time and just exist. That's your purpose. You feel me? Like that is your purpose. So once you kind of no longer give a fuck what people think or say about you, even if they're trying to push their fears onto you, because unfortunately, the closest people around you will try to push their fears onto you. They will make you feel whatever they went through at their time and their chapter in their life, they're gonna say, "Nah, nah, 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 nah. You ain't gonna do this." There's two reasons why. A, it could definitely be protection because they care about you and they don't want to see you go through what they went through. The other side is that they don't want you to surpass them. Hate to say it. Sometimes your biggest op is the one that's right next to you. Sometimes your biggest op is the one that birthed you. Sometimes your biggest op is the one that's just even living with you. And they're in your space. They're so close in your space, but they don't want to see you further. They don't want to see you further than them. So sometimes you just really have to take a step back, remove yourself out of that box that I kind of explained to you. Stop giving a fuck about what people think or say, especially for those who are close around you. Because I'll be honest with you, it's the strangers sometimes that are like, yo, cheering you on and stuff. For example, threads. I mean, shout out to my people on threads. I had a lot of support from them this year. I'll just say, yo, I'm trying to do this. And they're like, yeah, you got this, blah, blah. These people don't know me. But I'm just saying, like, understand if a stranger could support you, right? By them not giving a fuck about saying, "Yo, I support you. Why can't you support yourself?" And just say and hype up yourself and be your biggest hype man in the most or hype woman in the most like biggest possible way. And if you ever want to use a reference, what I personally do is I look at my 9-year-old self. Not saying I didn't have hype people, but I'm taking her everywhere because I want her to feel seen, heard, and protected. So anywhere, anything I accomplish, she's cheering for me. I always visualize her cheering for me because that's how it is. We're children in adult bodies healing and moving through life. So it's okay to sometimes honor that child and say, yo, let's not give a fuck and let's just do it anyways. Let's not care about what people are going to think and say. Let's just do it anyways. Let's not really put so much pressure on ourselves to not try, even if it doesn't work. And let's just do it anyways. Like, have that mentality in 2025 to just work through the fear and not just allow the fear to become a roadblock and you don't go any further. Because if you're writing out those goals, if you're making the vision board and you're going to allow the fear to completely block you, you're you're holding yourself back and you're holding the world back from experiencing you. And we want to experience you. Going on to the next one I would say, like, here I have listed is, I want you to think about when you're in fight or flight, we're constantly like, I want to think about a boxer. We're constantly like this, ready for that punch to come. We're just like constantly like, all right, you know what I'm saying? We're in fight or flight. We're waiting, we're waiting. There's gonna be a point when you're working through your trauma, you're healing, you're breaking down parts of your life that you have been wanting to break down for a long time. Again, going back what I just said, like that roadblock. Now you're removing the roadblock. It's exhausting, right? Because it's a lot of work. But I want you to remember this. Don't confuse boredom with peace. Because there's gonna be moments you're gonna think that you should be doing. I should. That word. Why should you? Who says that you should? Huh? Like, you're gonna say to yourself, I should be doing this, because I have all this extra time. But you have all this extra time because you've done the work now. Don't confuse your peace with your boredom. Don't call it boredom. That's your moment of peace. Those are the moments that you could sit back and rest. Those are your moments where that you've now created space for you to feel safe. That's your safety feature right there, telling you it's okay to rest. But you're confusing it with boredom sometimes because you've never experienced this before. So moving forward, as you're working on yourself, as you're bettering your life, as you're working through self-improvement, you're healing, you're in therapy, you're working with a coach, all these great things, as you find the that you have more time and more silent moments, embrace them. Embrace them full heart, like full stop. Like, don't even worry about it. Just take a moment, sit back and embrace them because that is the moment you've been working for the most. That's not boredom. That is your peace. That is not boredom. That is your moment of peace. Now, for my entrepreneurs, content creators, this may be a little bit of a hard pill to swallow. You can't listen to people who don't understand where you're going if they've never aspired to go there in the first place. So there's going to be people that is going to try to talk you out of your dreams. See that as the universe, ancestors, and God trying to see how serious you really are. See it as a test in a way, right? See it as a moment of like, wait a minute, because you're gonna be like, man, like they're just the closest folks to me, and they're telling me like this is a stupid ass idea, or they're calling it my little project, or whatever the case. I want you to start looking at it as you want to look at it. If it's a business, full stop. I'm gonna say that one more time. If it's a business, full stop. If you're a content creator because you just enjoy to make content, then just make the content. Full stop. Full stop. Don't worry about what other people are saying, especially if they've never aspired to do the things that you're doing because they're on their chapter. That they're on their chapter in their book. Don't sweat it. Okay. It's gonna sting a little bit, don't get me wrong, but you can't expect them to know where you're going if they've never aspired to go in the on the path that you're going. So don't worry about so much of what they're saying. Take it and be like, all right, cool, if that's what you feel, you know? And that's the part I would say that like it takes time because that's all about the work, right? Like the more work you do within yourself, the more work that you the more investment that you make in yourself, you'll find that it's not as hard over time, but it does take consistency. Okay. It does take consistency. And I have one more, the last one when I talk about consistency in a little bit. But the next one after that is the loss, the lesson, and the struggle is all a part of it. It formats the winner in you. The loss, the lesson, and the struggle is all a part of the game. It's all about self-improvement and personal development. It's all about it. And we all go through it. We're human, right? Everyone has losses, everyone has some steps of struggles, right? And everybody has a lesson from all of it. There's not much we could do out about that, right? Like life is gonna be life and people are gonna be people and there's not much we can do. So don't look at the loss, the struggle, and the lesson as like a defeat. Look at it as it's just part of the game. I gotta go through it. I gotta go through it. But the difference is how do you handle it? It's how you respond, how you react. I'll give you an example. Let's say like something within the loss, but something within the lesson, something within the struggle brings out an old side of you, tries to bring out the old side of you. Maybe the old side of you will cuss a person out or cuss a situation off or just be so upset. The reaction that you give is not healthy. As you continuously do the work, which is I say take this into 2025, and this is all connected to your purpose. Hope you understand that part too. You will react differently. I used to react by cussing a lot of people out. Like not in a way like it would cause a fight, but in a way that I would internalize it and it would raise my blood pressure. I know it did because I would get hot. It's not healthy until I said, you know what, you got this. It's cool. And that's how I kept saying it wasn't easy every time. There was moments I'd say, "You got this, it's cool," and I was still hot. But the more I said it, the more I recognized that I need to just regulate my own emotions. And that's part of like emotional intelligence as well. Just I had to make sure that my response wasn't unhealthy. I did not want my response to be very fiery anymore. It just wasn't cutting it for me. So I just said, "You know what? No, you got it. You good." And just by changing the tone of how I want to respond, I noticed so many difference in terms of in the interaction with another person or in a situation, and I remain more calm in the situation. My grandfather said something, I might told my dad, and my dad told me, and it sticks with me all the time. And you can also apply this for 2025. If two people are arguing, don't be the fool. So in a sense, like if you're arguing with somebody else, don't be the fool. Don't be the one that raise your voice. Don't be the one that they point at, they look at. If you remain calm, you ain't the fool. Let the one person be the fool. And I always think about that in situations that try to bring that old side of me out. I ain't gonna be the fool. No matter what. I am not gonna be the fool. The last one I want to talk about is consistency. So a lot of times when we talk about um, consistency. He said, "You need consistency to keep going, discipline, blah, 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 blah. Consistency, consistency, consistency." I want you to think about it this way. People say consistency is hard. It's really not. And why it's not hard is because we've been consistent to bullshit many times. Hear me out. Don't come for me so quick. If you think about it, if we have a bad habit, we can consistently do said bad habit without a shot of a doubt, right? It's not because it becomes like a norm. You get up every morning, you brush your teeth. You get up every morning, you make your bed. You get up every morning, you have a cup of coffee. You're consistently doing the same thing. So is consistency the problem or is it just discipline? Is consistency the problem or is it just your strategy not working? It's not consistency. All of us are consistent. But the difference that you need to apply for 2025 is not to be consistent with bullshit. It's that simple. You don't need to be consistent when it comes towards with bullshit. Like we have no problem, and I hate to be like rough about it, but it's the truth. How are we gonna sit there and say, "Oh, I have a tough time getting up and working out," or "I have a tough time reading a chapter a day, or finishing a book a month," or "I have a tough time sticking with journaling every day or every other day or whatever." No, you don't. No, you don't. You just have to find your own rhythm. You have to create your own strategy. That is your key for 2025. You have no issue with consistency. Consistency is not your roadblock. No, it's not. Because we have no problem being consistent with bullshit. So as you move into 2025, don't put consistency as the bare bad news. Don't put consistency as the problem. Okay? You are. You have to figure out how you want to allocate your time. You have to figure out what environments and energies you want to bring into the new year. You have to be more intentional with the stuff that you are doing. Consistency is not the bad guy, yo. Like discipline and the strategy is what you need. But we gotta stop saying like, oh, I can't be consistent because it's difficult. No, it's not. We're consistent bullshit every day. We consistently do everything every day. So consistency is not your problem, it's just your strategy. And if your strategy is not working, adjust it. That's the cool part about things. If your strategy's not working, if you find like I don't journal anymore, okay, so let me maybe perhaps you do it every other day. Or if you're finding like okay, like I'm not doing this, I'm not working out any as much as I used. Okay, scale it back and work your way up. Consistency isn't your issue. That's not your bad guy. Discipline and your strategy is what you need, but consistency is not the problem. It's not the problem. It's because we could again, we could be consistent with bullshit without a doubt. We know it. We know we could be the consistent with the stuff that doesn't serve us, right? We know that. So before you even think, "Oh, I have a tough time being consistent." No, you don't, because we're always consistent with everything that we do. We consistently scroll on online. We consistently watch our favorite podcast, Dope Life Podcast. Check it out every Tuesday. We consistently, know that we have to wash dishes after we made the mess. We consistently know that we have to shower every day. We know how to be consistent. It's just maybe your strategy is just not working. Adjust the strategy. Look over the strategy every week. Look over it every month. However you want to do it, but consistency is not your op. Sometimes your biggest op is yourself. Please understand, like, I'm not trying to come after nobody, but sometimes your biggest op is you. And it's just time, it's a moment of taking a step back and saying, you know what? I know where I am. I know where I want to go. Maybe this is not working. Maybe that's not working. And adjust your strategy as you go along. Don't hold yourself back from the things that are yours. Don't hold yourself back from the life that you want. Don't hold yourself down to success that's yours. And just be intentional with 2025. And you will find yourself in oh, at a way better position than you ever were before. So I hope you enjoyed today's Sunday, successful Sundays. It's the last one of the year. Can't believe it. So I want to wish you all a happy New Year. And yeah, tap in the next Sunday. We're gonna be here. We're definitely gonna be here. And on Tuesday, this Tuesday, I have another episode of the Dope Life Podcast. It's gonna come out. So stay tuned for that. And that's all I got for y'all. I wish y'all the dopest week ahead, the most successful week ahead. And as always, y'all, walk with peace, walk with love. Oh my gosh, I'll never do that again. Walk with love.